Alright, welcome to another lesson video in the Gimp Learning Lesson Series. Today, we're going to do a few things, and here's what we're going to do. 1, we're going to change Gimp from being 1, 2, 3 different windows, again 1, 2, 3, to being just one window all together, okay? That's number 1. After that, we will review some of the tools in our toolbox over here. We will review some of these tools, and we'll also get rid of some of these tabs that we don't need. Okay, so we'll see over here we have 1, 2, 3, 4 tabs that we just don't need. Okay, we don't need a couple of them, and we'll get rid of them. So 1, we're going to put everything into one window. 2, we will review some of these tools, and then 3, we will clean things up over on this side of our program. So to begin, you have to have Gimp open to follow along with this video, okay? You have to have Gimp open to follow along with this video. Okay, first things first, click on this center window and just double check that it says Gimp in this top left-hand corner. Because if we click on the background, click, it says Finder here, and our options up here change, okay? So make sure you click on this center window, make sure it says Gimp right here, and then click on Windows. Boom. Okay, so if we click on Windows, we see a lot of very important options. For right now, the only option that we want is, of course, single window mode, because we're trying to get all 3 windows to be one single window. I found that many students appreciate this working in one clean window as opposed to 3 separate windows. So single window mode, and voila! Gimp is all together in one single window. Would you look at that? One single window. And we can still make things wider by clicking on the edge here. See our mouse changes. Okay. Now I'm gonna have it so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across. Now, actually, before we get going on some of those tools, we're going to clean up overall. What we're going to do is take this icon with the 3 different colors, the blue, green, and the red. That's channels. We're going to drag that out, and we're going to close it. Now you see, we only have 3 left, which is what we want. Okay, but we also do not want this one. Drag it out, and close it. For the purpose of this class, we only use layers, which is a very important tab, and undo history, equally important. It tells us what we've done and where we can go backwards. Awesome. So you have to be at this point with the single window mode, in the layers, in the undo history. You have to be at this point before you move forward. Feel free to pause if you need to catch up. Alright, wonderful. So here we are with our single window mode, and let's just review some of the tools. I'm going to use a photo called the arrow PNG pic.png. It's just a photo that I have that I use in some of the lesson videos, and I'm going to use it here because it's a perfect example on how to edit. So if we click and we drag over the Gimp single window and we drop, it opens up into its own canvas. Now if you saw, Gimp automatically just resized on its own. If you want, you can also click and drag to make the overall window smaller. Let's see, let me try it again. Smaller or bigger. Okay. Now if you see, although our window is this big, our canvas is smaller. As you see, it ends right along these edges here. Okay. So, just a few tools. If you took a look at that PowerPoint, which you should have it by now, I'm sorry, Google Slides, as we're saying in 2017, you should know what a few of these tools do, but let's just work over them together. We have the Paintbrush Tool, as which you can imagine. Hey there. Alright, so now once you've used the paintbrush, we're going to use Command Z to undo it, okay? But let's say, for example, we used our paintbrush. We could also use the eraser tool to erase it as well. Awesome. And of course, the eraser could work on the arrow as well, but we don't want that. Again, hitting Command Z. Now, as we see, we have a combination of some tools that are all blue in this fourth row, and a couple of cousins up here, right there and right there. Let's use all these blue tools and review what they do. If you see here, I have scrolled over the scale tool. The scale tool, for a lack of a better word, simply makes an image larger or smaller and can adjust the shape overall. So if we select this scale tool, we will click on our arrow, and then we see a grid. And then we see a grid. Now, within this, we can drag our corners to make the image smaller. We could also do it to make it bigger. But if you notice, we're starting to see two arrows. This is the original arrow, and of course this is the new, smaller arrow. Once we've found the size we want, we can click on Scale. And there we have it, a smaller arrow. All done by the Scale tool. The Shear tool and the Perspective tool I'm not going to review now, but they will be in future videos. This Flip tool is exactly how it sounds. It flips the selected image. So if we select the Flip tool, click, and we click on the arrow, it flips it horizontally. If we scroll over to our tool options, we can click on Vertical, which will flip it up or down. Okay, which will flip it up or down. And it's tough to tell right now because it's a mirror image of itself. The Rotate tool that you see that you will see I have right here, okay, again does exactly what you think it would do. If we click on our arrow, we get another grid, just like with the Scale tool, but if we adjust this marker up here, we can rotate the image in a circle. I am actually going to do 180 degrees, so it's the complete opposite direction. Rotate. Wonderful. Now, here we have the Cage Transform. So the Cage Transform, the Perspective, and the Shear tool I will not go over now, but they will be together in a future video. One of the most important tools is, of course, the Move tool. The Move tool, just like the other tools that I've shown you in this video, does exactly what you think it might do. It moves layers, selections, and objects, okay? Moves the layers, selection, and objects. So if we click right here on the Move tool, we can move the arrow anywhere on the canvas that we would like. Voila! Just like so. This is very important if you're trying to combine different images to create a scene, such as a background, people, a sun, benches, flowers, whatever you'd like. Moving things around. Okay. And one final tool for this quick little crash course on some of the tools is the Text tool. The Text tool. As you might imagine, this letter A represents text. So if we click on this Text tool, we of course have to first click and drag to make a text box. We click and we drag. We click and we drag. We click and we drag to make a text box. If we click inside this new box that we just created, we can type. I will type, "Hello, students." Oh, I misspelled. Hello, students. But this text is very small and it's hard to read. How can we adjust it? We can adjust it in the color, it is currently black, and we can adjust it in the size. Little word to the wise, we could also adjust the font. We are not going to adjust the font, and of course the font is the style that it is written in, but we are going to simply adjust the size and the color. Now, if you point your attention over here to our Tool Options tab, our wonderful Tool Options tab, which looks like a light switch, a Tool Options tab, you see that we have the size, which is currently 18 pixels. If we click and hold to make it bigger, would you look at that? Would you look at that? Alright, 75. Let's go with 75. As you can see, simply making the size larger already made it easier to read. But let's adjust the color as well to see how that looks. If we click on this color box right here, let's go with any of these pre-selected whites. Okay, would you look at that? We could also choose a green, for example. We can just choose a darker green or a lighter green. Look at that. Wonderful. Okay, now that was a quick crash course on how to use the text tool, the paintbrush tool, the eraser tool, the scale tool, the flip tool, the rotate tool, and of course the move tool. Please, before you come to tell me that you have finished this video, use an image, try some text, and try out the tools that I just informed you of. Go crazy. This is simply a lesson video. There is no product related to this. These are tools that you will use moving forward. And please, practice, practice, practice. Have a great day. This is a Lightning Learning Lesson.